Incoming.
Oh, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? I need to record this video. I need to do the video. All right. Do it anyway, Kona. You win this time. Whoa! Dangerous games. Dangerous games, Kona. What is happening, people? It is Brian Alsruhe, NEVERsate.com, and today I want to talk to you guys about whether or not how wide you're placing your hands on your bench press. Is that keeping you from a potential PR or not? Now, I know something like that seems very trivial, but when you're talking about supporting weight, where you place your structures becomes very, very important. So in today's video, what I thought I'd do is go over the 3 basic grips. Your normal bench press grip, a wider grip, and a closer grip. Describe the benefits of each and talk about who might benefit from switching their bench grip to that, and give you guys some ideas at the end of the video of how to work it into your programming to try to figure out which way is potentially the best. Because much like the squat or the deadlift, every single person is built a little bit differently. So obviously where you're gonna put your hands and things like that is going to matter greatly between person to person. But one thing I do need to address really fast before we talk about how wide or how close your hands are is what the bar is actually doing in your hands. So through my website, I do like a form assessment. I get a ton of videos from people asking me to take a look at their bench press, and one of the most common things that I see right off the bat is where they're sticking the bar in their hands. So before I even get involved in talking about how wide or how close your hands are gonna be, I want you to think of the bench press as like a super two-handed punch. Pow! Now, if you're going to punch somebody, you would never punch them like this. Stupid. You should know better, man. But that is exactly what a lot of people are doing in the bench press by sticking that bar in their fingers and letting it twist their wrist back towards their face. Now, it doesn't take a degree in biology to tell that you're not having a lot of bone structure underneath that thing, and something's going to have to give. Typically, when you're trying to move heavy things, relying on stretchy things like tendons and ligaments is not what you want to do when you have access to bone. And luckily for you, you do, because as long as you keep that hand flat, like you should be punching things, don't punch things. Especially not people, unless they deserve it, at which time, go nuts. So when bench pressing, I want you to think about it the same exact way as you do punching. I want you to align all those bones by sticking that bar on the heel of your hand. The further down that you can get it, along with wrapping your thumb, and then squeezing as hard as you can so that you create this good alignment of bar through the wrist into the bone of your arm. That is going to be the best way to support the weight, not like this. Don't let me catch you doing that anymore. And now that that is off my chest, we can move on to the different grip widths of your bench press. So the first one I want to talk about is just where your arms are perpendicular to the bar, almost like pillars on a building. Now, much like we were just talking about, pillars support weight, so it's going to be very, very important. Try to keep those arms as straight up and down as possible when you're setting up. Now, the only problem with this is that when you actually look at a bench press and how it is performed, you're not moving the bar in a straight line. And if you are still moving the bar in a straight line, you're leaving a whole lot of pounds out there. Go back and watch some of my bench tutorial videos, because that's gotta change. But because that bar angle is changing a lot, your arms aren't staying perpendicular underneath the bar in a 360-degree type of way. So for some people, they really, really struggle with this. It really depends on what your body type is and what works best for your frame. But one thing is for sure, if you're going to bench like that, you do not want your your hands too much wider than your shoulders or too much more narrow than your shoulders either. But some benefits to this are that it is relatively safe as far as the bench press is concerned. Most people can press a decent amount of weight because it is, for most people, biomechanically the best structure for them. And then number 3, it's probably the easiest way to kind of learn the bench press technique as far as keeping your elbows tucked and everything else. But it might not be the best choice for you. Which very conveniently brings us to the second point that I want to talk about, which is the wide grip bench press. Now, you're more likely to see this in a powerlifting type of situation. Now, the reason why you see a lot of powerlifters using a wider grip is because if you can get a really good arch and your setup can be super tight, then you can stick your arms really wide, officially, not really, but it will drastically shorten your range of motion, which for most people, when you're talking about moving a super heavy weight, it is better to move it less inches than more inches. Yeah, but do not get it twisted. There is a definite technique to wide grip benching, and it is one that I personally don't know because I do not use it. The reason why there is a definite technique that you need to learn how to use is because it is very precarious on your shoulders. The bench press in general isn't the best option for your shoulders, but the wider that you put those arms, the more pressure you're sticking on the humerus and the more trouble that you're probably gonna run into further down the road. So unless you're really interested in some big powerlifting, state record, world record type of thing, if you're just an average lifter, I would probably tell you to stay away from wide grip benching. But again, you don't know if you don't try. Maybe your shoulder's good enough for it that you can get away without any pain, without any trouble at all. Maybe you can just move more weight. Who knows? But then the final negative for me, which is probably even bigger than the wrist to the shoulders, is the fact that you have a lot of trouble flaring your elbows when your arms are out that wide when you decide to reverse that motion and start going back up with the bar. Now, if what I just said sounds like rocket science because you've never experienced getting horsepower back into the bar by flaring your elbows when you're returning that bar bar on the way back up, then you're definitely going to want to go check out some of those tutorial videos because there's some stuff that you're going to want to learn before you really mess around with any of this. So again, there'll be links above and links below about that. But yes, indeed, oftentimes when you are stuck on a bench press, the only way to get horsepower back into that bar and get it moving again is to flare your elbows, which maybe people who practice the wide grip bench all the time probably are very, very proficient at, but me, myself, I find it very, very tough. I am getting some elbow tendonitis. Things go bad. I'm not a fan of the wide grip bench press, although I really was when I was younger because I truly believed it would work my chest more. But now that I know more, I'm not really sure that that's how these things work. Which conveniently brings us to the third option, which is the closer grip bench press. It's a closer. Now this is something I never thought I heard myself say because before when I was younger, I would work close grip bench press all the time because I wanted strong triceps because the new strong triceps led to a strong bench, and believe me, that worked. However, at the time, I believed that close grip bench press meant that my hands needed to be about 6 inches apart. That was a little rough on the wrist. And I will say that it absolutely hit my triceps, but it was not the best thing for anything else involved with my body. But now that I am a more older and learned man, I realized that it's not the close grip bench press where your hands need to be slammed up against each other. It's actually the closer grip bench press where your hands are just kind of slightly moved in. So for instance, my normal bench grip, I have my ring finger on the ring of the bar. Now for my close grip bench press, all that I do is slide my hands in until my index finger is touching the smooth. That's my close grip bench press. Now again, I never thought that I would recommend this when I was a younger man because I thought when you start slamming your hands closer together, you started using less and less muscle groups, but that simply wasn't true. You actually start using more muscle groups until you start slamming your hands all the way together like an idiot like I was doing. But if you keep your hands just outside your shoulders, you actually keep that bar over top of a perpendicular surface of your forearm a little more often because of the bar path. Also, another reality of moving your hands in like this is that you just simply have more body underneath the bar, which calls for more stability. So a lot of people will go to the regular bench press with their arms just perpendicular to the bar, and they'll do bench press like that, but they'll find a lot of shaking, whether it be in the descent or the concentric portion of the motion or whatever, but there's a lot of shaking in there. If that describes you, I would highly recommend bring your hands even in half an inch to an inch because you're just gonna stick more body underneath there. It's gonna stabilize it. You're gonna be able to keep your elbows tucked, which is gonna be able to recruit more muscles, have your setup stay tighter, at which time you'll hopefully move more weights. Another added benefit for benching with your hands this close together is that if you have a good setup and your lats are spread and you're up on your traps, when you are rowing that bar down to your body, if your hands are close enough and your elbows are tucked, your triceps will actually push against your lat almost like a spring, creating some pressure down in there so that you get a little bit of pop out of the bottom. So if your problem is off the chest, I can almost guarantee that bringing your grip in a little bit is going to help with that situation. And then also you're going to be able to accelerate the bar a little bit faster for the same reasons like I talked about earlier about the flaring of the elbows. If they were tucked all the way down, when you start going up, you can flare them, you're getting horsepower back in as long as your bar path is good. There is absolutely no reason why a closer grip bench press can't be almost as strong as your regular bench press, if not stronger. Now, just like anything else, it's gonna have to be developed because I'm sure a lot of you probably just clicked on this video believing that there's absolutely no way that your close grip bench is ever going to match your regular bench press, but that's simply because you haven't spent enough time on it. But if you're anything like me and every other red-blooded male, your bench press is probably out of all of the PRs that are the stickiest. This is the stickiest of the stickiest. Your bench press just doesn't like to move much, so a lot of times what we end up doing is throwing the same exact stimulus at it again and again and again, expecting a different result, and that never happens. Then we get really frustrated with the bench press until we injure ourselves, and then you swear you're never doing it again until you do. All right, great. So now you have some information that pretty much means nothing. What I'd like to see you do with it is take a 9 to 12 week training cycle and break up your waves in 3-week waves into something like a heavy, a medium, or a light. And on one of those days, on your heavy day, choose the regular bench press where your arms are perpendicular, like your normal competition bench press. On your light days, maybe go with the wide grip. On your medium days, go with the close grip bench press. After each one, assess whether you hurt less, whether the bar moved faster, whether you felt more stable. Really take an honest look at what's going on. Don't worry so much about the weights because the weights will come honestly just with more time and more reps. I want you to think about the longevity. What feels best to your body? Where do you feel the most stable? Where do you feel that you could potentially create the most force to move the most weight over time? Not necessarily today. This is something I pretty regularly advise to my athletes who are really stuck in one thing is I say, just throw some variation into it and just focus on that. Stay away from the actual lift for a while. Try to change a couple things, bring up your weak points and see if it won't just blast through that plateau when you come back to the original lift in the first place. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But what hardly never works is continually doing the same exact stimulus, expecting a different result, which is what a lot of people are doing with their bench press. So perhaps maybe you try it for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, try changing up your grip to see if something feels a little better, because then you'll have process again where you can start programming in progression and trying to move forward, whether it be with a close grip bench, a wider grip bench, or maybe you're doing one of those other two and you need to bring your hands into a regular perpendicular bench. Whatever the case may be, figure out what works best for your body type and your personal training style and your personal goals. And once you have all that data, plug it in, get to work. So there you guys go. Thank you very much for watching the video. Hopefully it helps some of you out. Bring my grip in, help me substantially on my bench press, and also help my shoulder feel better. So now I'm focused more on my triceps. Plus, I know a lot of people out there want to get bigger arms anyway, so it's gonna hit your triceps more, you're gonna get bigger arms, so if you get a bigger bench, that's gonna lead to a girlfriend. Well, some really cool news coming up on Wednesday. Juju Mafu and Tom will be here at our gym doing a collaboration, so there's gonna be some cool videos coming up from that, both on his channel, Uncle Nick's channel, Olu's channel, my channel, everywhere. They'll be all over the place. And then I actually just booked my tickets today. Mid-October, I'll be out in Sacramento, California with Uncle Nick, Joey Satsmary, potentially Olu, Silent Mike, Omar, and of course the great and famous Alan Thrall. So yeah, we're all gonna be hanging out at the gym for a couple days, getting a bunch of footage, doing a ton of videos. I'm not really sure what the entire plan is, but it should be a really, really good time. So yeah, I am insanely excited about both those things, and I am also gonna be sticking up a brand new free strength program within the next couple weeks. I have it kind of written out right now. Definitely have the plan, so I'm gonna be sharing it with you guys to see if you guys wanna give it a try or what case may be. You guys know how that goes. But I will be catching up with you guys later in the week. Until I do, go out to something amazing in your lives. Keep working hard, people. Be nice to each other, and I'll see you then.